So far we've had 5 and 5 in terms of finishes. No one's gone to the third. Those numbers look interesting, Chris.
Yeah, height and reach are actually going to be for Ramos. Edge and experience for Ramos, but it's an undefeated record for ATANASOV. But like you said, he's been out of the unified rules of MMA for quite some time.
That's a question mark, and it's going to restrict his thought process and his movement, trying to keep it all within the rule set. So the referee's going to give them their marching orders. Height advantage immediately visible to Ramos, but the boxing and kickboxing skills, which is the department that Ramos lacks, goes to ATANASOV. So Bulgaria takes on Cuba, only in FNC. And what about this is in prospect 3 5-minute rounds under FNC's unified MMA rules, and I say that because ATANASOV may need reminding of that as the evening progresses.
Yeah, he's been in a couple of mixed rules matches. He moves well for a bigger guy. He's got real slick hands, has struggled with the wrestling at times, which could be a looming issue in this matchup, if Ramos decides to capitalize, that is.
Yeah. Now, Ramos straight away, testing the defenses, goes for a double shoot, sees the availability of a leg, and takes his man down. That's the wrestling. You do what you do, and Ramos does it well. He's a Cuban wrestler by nature, and just look at him go to work here. That's great work.
Yeah, it's one thing when a guy literally starts on one side of the cage, runs you to the other, and then actually runs you back to the opposite side by the time he's gotten you down. That's the different level of athleticism that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and Ramos is a guy that doesn't work in small margins, does he? He goes big, and look at that. Again, the single leg takedown and slams his man down to the mat. Great move into top position, being held in half guard. That's where Ramos lives, that's his office, and so far, so bad for Valery ATANASOV, who said that he wanted to keep it in the upright and he was going to bang his man out.
Yep, that's the thing. The wrestler can make the decision here. Lovely control here from Ramos. I'm curious to see, again, we've seen this with many high-level wrestlers coming into MMA. Some of them don't use that base skill set enough. How is Ramos going to use it in these positions? He's
going to ground and pound his man if he can. And ATANASOV fairly relaxed at this moment because he can work very well off his back. But doing a great job of spoiling Ramos, who's just coming in, four-wheel drive, bringing in the ground and pound, smashing his way through, and he's got this on speed dial.
You can see the level of discomfort from the time that ATANASOV's back hit the mat after this takedown, and now these positions where he's just getting pounded to the midsection into the head.
Well, look at this, 3 minutes left. We've only just started, and this is like an all-inclusive buffet for Ramos. He's just taking his shot and really enjoying himself and having it all, stuffing it all on one plate. Elbows, forearms, really working his man. This is so early into the round that you've got to ask questions. Can ATANASOV come back from this?
ATANASOV just has to avoid this damage. The shots to the midsection, I mean, it's just a different kind of posture he's having to circumnavigate here against Ramos. He's never faced this level of grappling in his career.
Yeah, this could look like a disaster piece for ATANASOV as Ramos repositions, jumps on his man, takes side control, just looking for any limb that's available, goes for the Kimura here.
He's going to go Americana if he can go wrist to wrist.
He's got it on. ATANASOV in a world of pain here. He's given it up. Just sending a very strong message to ATANASOV. You are in my office now.
Yeah, ATANASOV actually almost tried to flip him over. He's trying a couple of times. You see again, there's a far side arm attack, and then ATANASOV scrambles hard. Now this is where Ramos doesn't quite have the education to settle his base and get the weight he needs to make that submission work. It's twice he's gone for it, and twice he's had to abort.
Yeah, whilst that's a negative, it's not completely negative because it will worry the life out of ATANASOV. It would worry me to keep that left hand busy, tucked and hidden away. And maybe that's a strong psychological message because maybe ATANASOV will think twice before using the left hand where he needs to because he'll feel it will come under pressure. Hey, listen, look at this. He's gone again, and this time has he got his base right?
He might be able to. He needs to bring the elbow closer to the hip. He's going to go straight armbar now. He's going straight armbar. Again, you can just see he's just a little bit too deep on it. And there's an underhook here.
He's got it on. Well, as I said before, this is like an absolute buffet all you can eat. And he's got a crank on here. Can he make it work? Coming up to the end of the first round. No, ATANASOV is still in there. He's hanging in. But Ramos, if anyone can do it, Ramos can. And this is a real battle of wills here. It's the clock against ATANASOV as well as Ramos. No, he's had to give it up.
Yeah, he keeps trying to crank it. What you really want to do is make it more of a V and then pull the actual V, the elbow lower down the waist. The turn actually isn't the most optimal way to finish it. There we go. That's a little bit better.
Oh, the clock is going. Ramos is going to have to work. ATANASOV says, I'm okay. Thumbs up. Ramos may have invested just too much here at this stage. Looking comfortable, ATANASOV. We're going to the bell. It's going to be a great example of survival here. And Ramos gives it up. Wow. Action, full fat all the way. ATANASOV was in a world of pain there, but wow, survives it.
I tell you what, that looked like the least comfortable series of positions in the world. Ramos is such a monster on top, and he's just such a smother. But again, it's the question of how is he going to make this wrestling work in MMA? Always a new level.
Yeah, that was a brutalization, wasn't it, from the time it got to the mat in terms of defense for ATANASOV. But hey, listen, you know, he's got to find something, and he may do it. We've seen people come back from a disaster piece to a masterpiece. So, will he be able to keep it upright? Let's see what he did to not do that in the first round.
Yeah, he was working on a high crotch and then just literally ran forward with the single. Fell into half. This was the ground and pound. This is a nice adjustment from Ramos, where we didn't get to see the killer instinct at times in some of the previous fights, where he'd have very dominant positions, but didn't necessarily have the assertiveness within him, probably from his training and, you know, the ring time that you accumulate to push forward.
We're going to 2, and maybe the writing's on the wall. We need a Hail Mary shot from ATANASOV. But anything can happen. This is MMA, and it can spin on a dime. And let's just see what Ramos can do to finish, if indeed anything, or if ATANASOV has got something special in the locker that he can bring to play here. Looking very relaxed in the stand-up. And the one thing that ATANASOV should have realised by now, exactly where Ramos is going, and he's going downstairs for a leg if he can do it. So you've got to keep quick on your feet and do that. Look at that. I think he's got the memo.
Yeah, his corner would have said, look, squat your stance, know it's coming from quite a ways out. That's the thing, Ramos took him out, or took him down rather, from quite a ways outside. And punish it, you gotta punish it. You gotta create a little bit of hesitancy for Ramos.
Yeah. And Ramos has got the takedown on lock, but we're seeing different work here from ATANASOV. ATANASOV keeping the distance, but as you said, Chris, Ramos can get in there like he just jumped an Uber, didn't he? And he was gone. Oh yeah, that's a bit of slick work there. Feints down, brings that big right hand up. ATANASOV slow off the mark here, but there we go. All Ramos again.
Yeah, a foregone conclusion by the time he gets underneath your base like that. It is a perfect draw step, right? Through after faking it. Then let ATANASOV come forward thinking, okay, it's my turn to counter you, and then level changes on him.
Yeah, smart work from Ramos. I mean, he could sell ATANASOV London Bridge with that. Sold him the dummy beautifully. Now, this is where the world of pain begins for ATANASOV. He's right back where he was in the first round. And Ramos now, I think, will not waste the opportunity if it presents. We're going to see more sizzle here than fizzle in this second round from Ramos. He's going to try and finish, I would venture. Good positioning. Ramos using the wire, locking his man in. But, well, we've seen surprises, haven't we? And we saw earlier on from this exact same position, Simeon Karslidis work his way into a submission position.
This is smart from Ramos, though. Like, this is the point in the fight now where he is obviously up on the scorecards, is obviously having his way. ATANASOV doesn't have a real host of answers, if any answers, from these positions. So you just keep working him, you keep fatiguing him. You haven't been able to break down the main door yet, but you just got to keep working away and it'll crumble.
absolutely, and there's no denying that ATANASOV is a tough stuff, a lot of experience, and then, well, no fighter comes to lose, but ATANASOV has got to work out a way to win, if indeed it exists against, well, the very capabilities of Ramos. And I mean, he does get the job done. He can finish. A little bit of a hiccup on the card there, but as explained by, again, and I mentioned, you know, the previous bout and Karslidis, he said, you know, he went 5-0 and then he lost one and it changed him as a fighter. You know, that's a psychological mountain to climb, but once you've climbed it and you're looking down, it means nothing. It's just part of the journey. And Ramos just relentless here. Look, he's like volcanic lava, just keeps coming forward, inching. No slight about ATANASOV's bravery and his durability, but well, he's just getting hammered here in this round.
This is smart. He's gotten to his knees, he's built his base up, back to the fence. Now that's when Ramos knows he's got to recommit to a different takedown attempt.
Ramos doesn't want to stay in the upright, does he? But he's so good at picking and taking his man off the wire for a takedown, being defended by ATANASOV. The amount of energy ATANASOV is burning could light up a small town. I mean, you know, he's really had to work so hard to hold Ramos at bay. But, well, I thought we'd have seen a lot more kickboxing, a lot more punching, heavy hands to work away. But ATANASOV has been shut down by Ramos every time here.
And Ramos can lean on you all day here. He's just so physically conditioned for this type of fight. He's taking no damage. It's annoying, but he's in no real danger.
But again, I just don't think that ATANASOV is being attritional enough in this position. Those shots, I mean, floating rib is exposed, the body, the knee strike. ATANASOV just a little bit uncreative there. I mean, tapping away underneath at the head. End of the second. This is the first time we've gone into the third. So ATANASOV can't be doing that much wrong, because seemingly Ramos unable to finish the job.
Yeah, that's for sure, but he doesn't have an answer. And I think if you look at what both guys appeared to sort of display when they disconnected and went back to their stools there, fatigue is very much more in the corner of ATANASOV.
Yeah, it's very difficult under that kind of pressure to look for work. Look, he gets taken simply there, Chris.
Yeah, beautiful penetration, right leg up, drives through, digs his toes in. I mean, it's just picture perfect. And there we just saw some of the busy work from Ramos. The body shots, the elbows, misery.
Virgin territory for FNC edition 22 here tonight from Ljubljana in Slovenia. It's the first time we've gone into the third round. This is our fifth bite. About the four preceding, all ended before the third round. Touch of gloves here. Third and final round. Andres Ramos, originally from Cuba, lived in Slovenia here in Ljubljana, but now resides and trains out of Pula in Croatia. And his opponent, Valery ATANASOV from Bulgaria. And ATANASOV has spent most of the evening in the horizontal, trying to deal with the power of Ramos. At 36, you've got to ask, has ATANASOV had enough ring time, enough experience on the ground to deal with someone like Ramos? We're finding out tonight, because Ramos looks lemon fresh, powerful, in great shape, and ATANASOV, well, that fuel gauge is just running down, and that was a sloppy shot, and that's what happens.
Perfect turn of the corner. ATANASOV had to expect that. His corner must have said, look, watch out for him picking up on a level change or the blast double from a long ways out. He fell victim to the blast double in the previous rounds. You just can't let that happen, because once it happens, statistics would suggest he doesn't get back up.
Ramos now in a very, very strong position. If that left hand presents itself, I think Ramos has got the strength and the positioning now to make an Americana or a Kimura work, but he's going for full mount, wants to finish this maybe with the ground and pound, That's also his office. And ATANASOV defends, but Ramos all over him. Ramos, like a drunk on a kebab, will not let him off that position. ATANASOV trying to get back up to his knees to defend, but taken down easily. Look at that ankle pick from between his own legs, Ramos. Great skills.
And it's exactly like you said. He knows exactly how to hold him down. He knows exactly where to hold, where to press, when to wait, when to go back a step, when to go forward one or two. And that's a battle that ATANASOV just hasn't been able to deal with. And again, on paper, that's what I sensed. I wanted to see Team Ramos do. That's what they've executed to perfection here now into the third round.
Well, trying to close up the guard. ATANASOV successful in holding his man down. He's got some kind of a headlock going there. There's not enough crank on it, but he's got the whole body in there. Guillotine's gone. Ramos defends it easily, and there's nothing there that was going to ever worry him. Not a wrestler of that standard. So, seeing Ramos suit up for business here at the end of this round. Still hasn't had the answer to finish ATANASOV decisively yet, but he's got just under 2 minutes left to do it.
I'm happy to see him cruise here. I've seen a lot of evolution from him in the first couple of rounds, some nice attempts, some more aggression. He's done good damage. He's still very much a young work in progress, and he's one example of many young talents that FNC have discovered and cultivated. And ATANASOV, credit to him as well. Like, this guy's legit, but styles make fights.
Power, dominance, that's been the theme. Technical ability. Ramos, those have been his tags here. Endurance, defense, toughness, resilience, that's been ATANASOV. Just over a minute left. He'll probably make the end of the round, and you know, that will be a huge achievement. Just didn't have the numbers right to crack the code of Ramos. That said, Ramos didn't have to finish ATANASOV. So, although he'll cruise home, romp home to Cheltenham, he won't take that dramatic win that he probably felt he needed after that loss outing. ATANASOV has stalemated this, and yeah, he's buffering any attempt by Ramos to finish this decisively. And Ramos looks a little bit as if he's run out of juice as well, and taking shots there. ATANASOV still finding the elbow off his back.
And we've seen it in a couple of the fights from Ramos where conditioning has become a factor, and credit to ATANASOV. He's been great binding his legs in. He tried to grab a wizard previously, but some of the very efficient ways that Ramos is keeping him here, he just can't seem to get around.
Yeah, it's hellish being underneath Ramos. It really is. But Ramos just keeps you there. But look at this, right to the very wire. ATANASOV gets into the upright. There's the bell. The third round has ended. It's going to go to judges' scorecards, but I don't think you have to be Albert Einstein to work out the math on this.
I agree, Will. A very strong performance there for Ramos. And again, he has shown improvements. There has been progress, and that's what the name of the game is. He's gotten good ring time, and he's taken another undefeated record. It's just a great story, and credit to ATANASOV. He came in, he tried, he stayed with it until the very end. He had his moments, but he couldn't do enough.
Yeah, no matter what we say in favor of Ramos and what he's achieved, you've got to give the credit to ATANASOV, who's come in the ring, and he survived the 3 rounds, and he's relatively unmarked. You know, he's expended a lot of energy, but he's defended a lot. Just look at Ramos. Ramos is, I thought he was lemon fresh, but he's absolutely exhausted. And I think that's a testimony to ATANASOV, because if at the end of the fight you look like the man that's won, that's testimony right there.
And when Ivan Vitasevic and Zelga Lesic are trying to hold you up, you know, 2 light heavyweight fighters, and are struggling, I think that's a sign of the baggage that fight has left you with.
Yeah, so not exactly a night at the opera for Andres Ramos, even though there's a win there, but props to Valery ATANASOV. I thought he was going to get smoked very early on in this encounter. I thought Ramos had the tools, the power tools as well, but he had to dig deep And look, ATANASOV is standing casually like he's waiting in line at an airline check-in. And Ramos just looks absolutely spent there. But hey, listen, the win's the win, and that's what counts.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of those 3 completed rounds, we go to your judges' scorecards where we have a unanimous decision. All 3 judges scoring this contest 30 points to 27 in favor of your winner. From Cuba, Andres Ramos!
Yeah, we were never in doubt as to who was going to take the W here. Emphatic win, 30-27. Judges, no doubt there. Vitasevic, FNC heavyweight champion, there for the photo op. And as I say, great night in the office for Ramos, but it wasn't easy pickings. There's no two ways about that. So, yeah, found the energy at last to dance. But yeah, that was a big night against ATANASOV. And as I say, the win's the win. It was emphatic, but that was a big prospect. So, big up Andre Ramos here tonight, turning that loss around. 6-1 for him as he leaves, and great performance in front of a home crowd.
Iskreno govoreći, ne izgledaš mi nikad sretan nakon što pobjediš. Jesi sretan, nisi zadovoljan?
Nisam toliko sretan sa ta snaga. Oprosti publika, sam posendao sve od sebe. Je presenečenio danas Brodnik sa drugi put po naredu dobra borba. Hvala kad ste prišli i me veseli sa sve publika. Hvala lepa.
Dajte ga nagradite, on misli da vas je razočarao, a ja mislim da nije. Andres, ali moram biti iskren i reći da si pokušao dovršiti posao, imao si više udaraca nego prije, išao si na onaj key lock, jednostavno nisi ga uspio završiti, ali opet si pobjedio. Mislim da nemaš razloga biti nezadovoljan.
On rekao, jedna fora, ja sam zdaj naredil ta borba, 3 ligamento zlomljeno na moja leče, ok? Da vi razumete kako je to. Jedan teden prej nisem trenirao ništa, da se malo se trenira tak leče. Oprosti publika, ampak si do trenira, veste zakaj, ko ima 3 ligamento zlomljeno, je teško. Samo da veste, oprosti publika. Sam dao sve od sebe.
Dame i gospodo, ovaj sjajan čovjek nastavlja pobjeđivati u FNC kavezu. Evo još kratko, što je sljedeće za tebe? Možda revanš s Jotkom, znam da to želiš.
Bogi, Forgiš, ako Bog da, daj me ta revanča proti Joko, isto u Zagrebu, da bude isto kao prije.
To je bilo sjajno. Dame i gospodo,